Welcome to the podcast. It all comes back to astrology. We are your hosts, Abbie Brash and Lindsay Coffee. And Linz, tell them what's on the menu for today.
Oof, tasty menu.
There's
We've
no
got
choice, though. There's just one thing you can have.
it's chef special, and we are about to talk about the astrology of Wicked.
Yes.
Most specifically, the film adaptation of the amazing Broadway musical and the Broadway
Hmm.
musical as well. It's all
Yeah.
it's all in the mix today, but the astrology in that story and behind the scenes.
Yeah. And this is my Wicked attire for today. This is the only like green and pink thing I had, so we're
We're looking
we're feeling
fat.
festive. And Linz is rocking Ariana.
I'm rocking
Uh,
Ariana today. Shout out to Cynthia. I don't have green, a lot of green. Put a plant in front of me and call it green.
yes, yeah, it's a very specific color of green too. I feel like it's
Yes.
not like necessarily the first thing in your wardrobe. I am excited to talk about this today because I've been thinking about this nonstop ever since I saw the second film, which came out a couple months ago. And it's
Wicked.
been in my head, been talking to myself in the shower about what I think the astrology is. And I finally forcing Linz to listen to my pitch because there is no real astrology in Wicked, like no birth charts. We don't even know what the planetary situation is in Oz. We know there's a moon, they show a shot of the full moon, and that's all we know. So this is me, like, I don't know, whenever I watch anything or just
Mhm.
me in life, I'm always kind of like just looking for archetypes in
Mhm.
astrology. Yeah, so that's what inspired me to want to talk about this today and excited. I forced Linz to watch the second film last night. So,
Oh, it's so good. Not forced. I wanted to watch it, but yeah, it was so good. Ugh.
yeah, you're like, I know Wicked. You're like, I've seen the plays. I don't need to watch the film. You're like, do I need to watch the film? Like, yeah, you gotta watch it. I want to talk about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for watching it.
Yes.
Were
It
you
was
sad?
it was the best homework ever. I mean, I felt all the emotions. It's just it was so much more beautiful than I could have even like thought. The storyline and the characters and the sets were gorgeous. It was just beautiful. That's why I put it off because I was nervous I was gonna like cry so much the whole film, but it just really takes you on a journey that's necessary.
Hmm.
So there were for sure tears.
I saw the first one when it came out 2024, then I didn't watch it again until 2025 when the second one came out. And then as soon as I watched the second one, I was like, I want to watch the first one. I miss like the happy dancing and stuff. Did you feel that way?
I felt well, I don't want to give anything away, but I felt like very vindicated in the happy-ish ending in the sense of the freedom for Elfie
Hmm.
and Fiyero. Like that felt like okay, that felt like a good moment. I think if we didn't have like that type of moment, I don't know if I could
Yeah,
stomach
it's pretty tragic. But
it.
also, yeah, happy ending amongst tragedy. And in
Yeah.
case people don't know, this podcast episode is going to be riddled with spoilers.
Yeah, sorry. God.
Spoilers
Ugh.
all the way down. I mean, I figured most people probably have seen
Yeah.
it, but anyway, watch it if you haven't or see the
Yeah.
play. It's been many years since I've seen the play, but it's so nice to have the film around now to be able to like
Oh, and
experience it over and over
beautifully
again.
done. Just gorgeous how they told the story.
Yeah, I wanted to gab about Wicked and the astrology I see. I felt like what I noticed the most was like the nature of opposites in astrology
Mm.
between Glinda and Elphaba. And
Ugh.
so, and just opposites in life. And they make that abundantly clear, like through their actions, through their
Mm,
wardrobe, like
mm,
black versus like pink, light versus dark. And then how you can find love, friendship, acceptance, and like growth through those opposites. And something that also inspired me was like Cynthia Erivo plays Elphaba, Ariana Grande plays Glinda, and they're actually opposite sun signs in astrology. Ariana is a Cancer sun, and Cynthia is a Capricorn sun, and those are opposites. And so that's, I think, what got Linz and I to start thinking about like, ooh, like they literally, the actors are opposites. I mean, there's a lot of nuance. I don't have Cynthia's chart, but people know Ariana's chart and she's like a Capricorn rising. So, there's a lot of nuance in there, but the basic nature of like opposites shows up in the actors and in the
Mhm.
film, I find. So,
And the fact that the opposites in astrology are like a teeter-totter where they're on one line. So it's like you have the opposites, but it's like they are forever threaded together. Is like so beautiful. It's insane casting to have them like match their characters in that way, their own
mhm.
selves. It's like so beautiful how that like the synastry of like their own charts of them being opposite and then playing roles where they're opposite, but the theme is the thread between the
Yeah,
opposing values.
I think that's beautifully said. What do you think of like, without astrology, or just like, what's your vibe or take on like, what's your feeling around the concept of like opposites or opposition? I mean, you kind of already said
Yeah.
that, but tell me more.
Okay, well, I think it's like light and shadow. It's like we live on Earth. And on Earth, there's light and shadow. Like it's just like we live in a space that's always using like polarization as a teacher. How we can learn a lesson through seeing it through a mirror, even especially like the good and the bad, which is obviously that's like part of the theme is what's really good and what's really bad. And in astrology, there's no like good or bad. It's just light and shadow.
Yeah,
Everything's being played. Everything's like playful. Like what is good and good is so nuanced and bad is so nuanced. And this astrological sign is stereotypical this way, but it's like still a nuance. What is your take on it with the opposites and the characters and the pink and the green?
I've been reading a lot about it because I've been, you know, obsessing over this for a month, maybe more than that. I'll start with the astrology because that's my language. Opposites in astrology, if the astrological wheel has like all the 12 signs, it's whatever one's, directly on the other side of the wheel.
Mm,
Cancer is a sign that's in the summer, and its opposite is Capricorn that's in the winter.
yeah.
So they seem completely different, but they do have a relationship. I liked what you said about the mirror because I feel like with opposites, it's like they have different goals on the outside, but underneath is like the same
Same goal.
desire. Yeah,
Yeah.
but in different kind of forms of it.
The same lesson, maybe too.
This is a quote from Aspects in Astrology by Sue Tompkins. Opposite signs need each other to function at their optimum, but for this to happen, it is crucial that compromise, moderation, and a spirit of give and take prevail.
Wow.
So it's like that concept, like you were saying, of light and dark. Is light in absence of the dark, or is darkness in absence of light? Does that make sense? What am
It's
I
like they
saying?
wouldn't exist without the other.
There it is. That's what I'm trying
Like
to
you
say.
can't
They need each other to exist, both sides of
yeah,
the spectrum.
kinda. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a big topic, just opposite in general. As I'm talking about, I'm like, this is hard to talk about. We need both sides to be whole, both sides of the spectrum.
Mm,
And
yeah.
so, what I took kind of the like Glinda Elphaba opposition kind of vibe, I saw that as the Leo Aquarius axis in
Yes.
astrology.
Yes. I was thinking that too because Elfie is like the resistance, the Aquarius. Is that what you were thinking? Yes. Yes. That's what I wrote down. It's the resistance. It's resisting the system through authenticity and in order to like break the system. And I think Leos, I'm a Leo, like
Same.
systems are nice for me. I like a system. I like a leader that feels like we do need to have leaders and we do. That's very Glinda, like she's so much so the head figure, especially in the second movie. She leans into that knowing it's the role of like the puppet in a way until she starts playing with the Aquarian themes. But yeah, Elfie is like 100% Aquarius. And I liked what you said about the give and take, though, because I think that really comes into play because their character arc, Glinda in the beginning was very Leo almost, and then she realized the value of the Aquarian, and then maybe vice versa.
I'm so glad that resonated because when I started seeing it, I was like, I need to talk about this.
What's your take on that? What is your take?
Yeah, a couple of like keywords that you kind of already mentioned,
Yeah,
but Aquarius is like the exiled,
the
and
exiled, the
Leo
exile.
is the spotlight. So
Yes.
it's the two opposite ends of the spectrum. You can really see that through the characters and through, yeah, they have their arcs. And yeah, what does like the exiled and the spotlight, what do they have in common?
I think they're both incredibly inherently powerful. Like there's like this inherent power in that because you have to be powerful to be a spotlight. You have to be brave. You have to be grounded in who you are. Even if sometimes you might not feel fully your best or whatever. You still have to be like there is a power of like being in a position where you're being seen. And then the same for an Aquarian is the same power. It's that same power of like that groundedness because you also have to be brave to be the exiled. You have to like be brave to be seen, but then you also have to be extremely brave to be not only not seen, but seen and disliked.
Oof, I got chills. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense of why it's like a later sign in the calendar. It's almost like there's a lesson that comes
Yeah.
later in the calendar of the earth.
Yeah. And as you're talking, it was making me think like, is the Leo Aquarius axis
Mm.
about identity or the
Oh,
lack of identity? Like having too much identity and then not enough?
yes, agreed. And I think in addition, that access plays with power. I think it plays with power of self, but power of society.
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly. I'll start with like Leo, I guess, for those who aren't super familiar with the different archetypes in astrology. Leo is represented by the lion. It's ruled by the sun. Leo seasons over the summer, like when the sun is at its brightest and its hottest. And so the sun represents rulers, leaders, kind of that divine part of us that's ever changing. I mean, like the sun is like the center of our solar system and it's always bright and shining. In some parts of the year, it's not quite as bright as others, but it's still there. It's always there. And so put that with the archetype of Leo, and it's like the center of attention, which is, you know, it's going to sound like I'm talking shit about Leo, but I'm talking about the general archetype. Like Linz and I are both Leo suns. So a word associated with Leo is like sacred individualism. And
Mm,
so it's very much about like, who am I in this world? Like, how can I make my mark? Like, what is best for me? What do I want? How can I create the things that I want to like make my mark in the world?
mm.
And so I think of that a lot as like the insider, the one in the inner circle, the one who like knows what's going on. Some keywords that go with Leo are often like confidence,
Mm.
creativity, loyalty,
Well,
generosity.
it's associated with your heart because Leos are very generous with their heart and the spine, like the back, your backbone, your figurative and literal backbone of the body.
Yeah, Leo's like the center, the heart, the soul. I feel like Glinda definitely gives Leo.
1,000,000%.
I want to hear before I go into all my points. What do you think of her as like as a representation of the
Yeah.
general archetype of Leo?
Oh, I love her. I love her. I love her as a Cancer, as a actress too. Yeah, she's amazing to me. They're both amazing, Cynthia too. And I completely agree. And I think, like we were talking about earlier with the opposites, there's like a light side and a shadow side. And I think Leos are so powerful when they incorporate that shadow. Like the power she had at the end of Wicked for Good versus the almost like the false power she had in the beginning, the performative power, where she goes from performative power to more authentic power. I think that was very Leo because I think once a leader is doing their job correctly and they're in their form, they've incorporated that shadow side to Leo. And so I think it's just, I mean, good examples. I mean, she starts school, she cares about image, she cares about the people around her. She's sort of a people pleaser, but she knows what she's doing. She's a people pleaser where she knows how to navigate spaces in a really strategic way, and she has always used that to her advantage. And I think that's also kind of a Leo trait, is to really know how to navigate strategically the room, people around you, the systems that you work in, and then knowing the systems. Because once the system is revealed, like the wizard is revealed, she knows it's a stage, and she knows her role on the stage and what she needs to do in order to stay in the spotlight, exactly where she like knows her mark on the stage. She knows the little set mark on the stage. She stands there. She knows where she needs to go until that sort of breaks later in the next movie.
Yeah. And I like how you mentioned that performative element because Leo a lot of times is associated with like acting and performing. They do
Mhm.
have that comfort, like taking up space or like being in the spotlight, allowing themselves to be seen. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, and authenticity, another kind of like Leo theme of like
Yeah.
when Leo's in its more light side
Yeah.
or it's more in its power, it's
Yeah.
more about authentic expression of self. I agree with everything you're saying, especially like beginning of the film, she's the adored one.
Adored.
She's the popular girl. The world revolves around her perspective. She's like, something terrible has happened. I didn't get my way. I was like, oh, Leo. I mean, obviously it's very exaggerated, but she has kind of a sense of like entitlement in a way that she's like, oh, I deserve to take up space. I deserve to have the spotlight. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but
No.
when it's totally like when you're totally unaware of anyone else and what's going on with them, then that's when it can be a problem. So it's like she's able to embody her role in her life and she's very comfortable, yeah, working a space, exactly what you said. And she's celebrated simply for being herself. Like we don't know why people love her. Like is
Confidence.
like
Confidence. That girl fakes it till she makes it.
yeah, people are like, you're wonderful, Galinda.
Yeah.
Clapping and like just and I'm like, why? Didn't we used to hate the popular girl? Like
They're popular for a reason. It's like tale as old as time. It's like, why is the trope true? Which is what the wizard says in the second movie, where he's like, even if we uncovered things, if the curtain goes, like people will still believe the facade because it's such a nice facade to believe. And in a way, it's sort of like her character in the first movie is that beautiful, flowing pink fairy tale dream girl fictional character that we like, that the people around are like, she is the it girl.
I mean, I think she's being authentically herself. Like she
You're
doesn't
right.
know how to be anything else.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, like
That
she's
is
like,
who she is.
this is who I am. But she like loves the performance. Like that is
Yes.
her nature is to,
And that's why it's so hard for her to let it go.
hmm
She's good at it. She's good at that. She's good at being a public figure. She has agency in that. She's like talented in that. It's like a
yeah.
skill that she's good at.
Also, her hair is a character in the film.
Oh my God, love.
Toss,
Yeah.
toss. I was like, Leos and their hair.
Wow.
Do people know this? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like a trope, a stereotype thing of like Leos and their lion's mane. They love their
Mhm.
hair. So I thought it was funny, like in Popular, when she's like, the first thing you must do, toss your hair. Like,
Yeah.
toss, toss. I was like, this is so Leo coded. Just the obsession with the hair. I also thought it was funny, like, because we're going to talk definitely about the like social justice aspects in Wicked.
Mm.
But the way she like in the train scene, do you remember in the first one?
Yeah.
When they're about to go to the Emerald City.
Emerald City.
I,
Yeah.
I almost forgot. Like what, the Emerald City? They
It's
call
fucking.
Seattle the Emerald City.
Do they?
Because it's green.
Really? Oh my
hmm
God, Abbie, you're living in Wizard of
One
Oz.
short day in the Emerald City. Um, that's where I
Take
live.
me with you. Get me on that train, bro. As an aside, the singing, incredible. And the
Mhm.
training for their characters' singing voices to match the character, incredible.
Or just like the fact that Cynthia has to fly and sing. I was watching an interview where she was like, you're not on the ground. You don't have your center of gravity to like
Wow.
help you project your voice. You have to just do it from the
She's
air.
incredible.
Yeah.
They're both out of this world. That's amazing.
Yeah. Glinda expresses her social justice in that train scene, the first film where she's gonna go to the Emerald City and she feels like weirdly competitive and possessive of
Yeah,
Fiyero when they're like, oh, they care so much about Dr. Dillman getting fired. And she's
right,
like, well, I care too. I'm going to change my name.
right.
Um, and I'm like, the way she's expressing her solidarity is through herself, like through her brand, you know, and it
Oh,
always comes back to the self for her of like,
wow.
this is my way of, of expressing that.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, their reaction is quite funny.
that's a good
Fear.
point.
Yeah, so I just thought that was like, oh, this is how she does social justice and solidarity is like
Mm.
just changing your name. It's not really doing that much, but it
Which
does a
is
lot
so,
in her mind.
yes, which is like such a hot topic now, right now, too, with like celebrity culture and social justice.
Mm.
And you could argue either way, but you could also argue like if you are like if she because she's a public figure in Oz, like people kind of do listen to her. It is doing a little of something because it's like her taking a stance in a public way
Mm, that's true. I didn't really think about that.
still alerts the public as like this is something we should think about.
Yeah, it's not necessarily wrong. It's just like different than
But it's like
how
not
Elphaba
like
does
she's
it.
not like building a nonprofit, which like would be like exponentially more helpful.
This is her way of doing it.
She's not like
Just
passing laws. She's
she's still standing comfortable in her own self, in her
One
own
million
world.
percent. And her in her like privilege for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, she wants power and influence over people, like with
Yeah.
people, like she already kind of naturally has that, but that is like the trajectory she like wants in her life. Like, yes, she wants to be a sorceress, but in the flashback scene to when she's a kid, and her
Oh,
mom's like, everyone loves you. That's all you'll ever need.
that's all.
And yeah, she has that natural charm and draw that has kind of like
Mhm.
that very solar sun kind of quality to it that feels very
Yeah.
like Leo of like her ability to relate to people and make them feel seen or make them feel like she's someone to aspire to in some way, or
Mhm.
someone they feel safe with. That's like her power and her way of
Yeah.
helping people.
And she wants magic to show people that she has magic versus like someone who wants magic to use and do the magic and to study the magic just on
Mhm.
its own. She like wants the magic in order to show off that she has the magic.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if she's like why she exactly wants to be a sorceress. We know as a kid she's like, I want to be magical. And then she says, it's my
Right.
heart's desire to be a sorceress. We don't really, I feel like we never really get the full why.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just
I
that
think
power
it's just
thing or
to set her apart and above. I think it's more hierarchical desire more
Yeah.
than anything else.
Yeah. And it's funny in the second film too. She's like, what scene is it? It's like one of the first scenes where she's at Munchkin Land and she announces that her and Fiyero are engaged. And he's like, what the
Oh,
fuck? And
we've
he
got to
was like,
get Fiyero stuff. Go
oh, I've
on.
got bullet points to talk about Fiyero. God bless Jonathan Bailey. Yeah, they have that scene together, and he's like, let's get out of here. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is so
Mm,
performative and stupid. And she's
hmm.
like, I can't leave. Like, people expect me to lift their spirits. Like, she's
Right.
the spotlight. She
Yeah.
has this pressure, or this pressure she's taken upon herself because she likes it. And he's like,
Hmm.
you can't, he's like, you can't
Resist
leave because
this.
you can't resist this. That's the truth. And she's kind of like, yeah, what if I can't? Like, is that so wrong? And I felt like that was kind
Right.
of that Leo archetype too.
I would take it even further of like the people do kind of need that. I do think people need inspiration. We don't need only inspiration. We need laws and nonprofits and action and the resistance and the Aquarians that we can talk about with Elfie. But it's like you also do in a society need someone, a human, to show inspiration, to inspire you to be the face of the ideals behind the face. Even if the face herself, Glinda, isn't necessarily like authentically all of those ideals. She represents the ideals. And in that case, like a society kind of does need a figurehead, maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's just what we're used to as
Yeah.
society in the past.
It's
But
what people are comfortable with. It's what people feel like,
yeah,
oh, this person's in charge. I trust them. We're all good.
we're all
For better
good
or for worse, you know.
for
But
better or
yeah,
for worse. But it's like there's a grounding around it that I think in a way Glinda is like very aware of. Like the people do need someone. Why should it not be me? Like they need
mm-hmm.
someone. Someone's gonna fill these shoes.
Mm-hmm. What did she say? Elphaba's like, they need someone to be wicked so that you can be good. And that's again that light and shadow. It's
That was
like,
so powerful. And
yeah,
it's on the stage and then the behind the scenes. It's like she's the true like Elfie's like doing so much behind the scenes, but you needed both worlds. You need on the stage and you need behind the scenes. What are your
yeah.
thoughts of the Aquarius part of Elfie's
Yeah, that's
character?
a good segue. I actually wanted to say
Elphaba's
one more
character.
thing
Oh yeah, sorry.
about her Leoness, and then I'm definitely ready to talk about
Sure.
Elphaba, and Aquarius. But at the end of the film, I was like, Leo, when she like puts that crown on her head, like, and has that moment of like, you could see
She looks
like all
good.
the experiences, all like the pain, all the like positive and negative, all the sacrifice and loss that she had to do to get to that point. And she's like, I'm accepting my role. I am the leader. I am the queen. And I'm stepping into this power. And luckily, she does use it for good. But she needs Elphaba, which I want to
Yeah.
talk about now.
She's fully embodied in the end. She is like the Leo embodiment. Like before it was like Leo performative Leo, and then in the end she is like embodying the true power when it's being used in the right way. Oh, that scene
Agreed.
is so good with the crown.
Yeah, it makes me like chills.
Yeah,
Like you
same.
just know, like, yeah, her acting, you can just see like in her eyes, like
Mm.
this isn't like a happy moment. You know, it's
No.
like there's so much behind her face when she's looking in the mirror and putting that crown on her head.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah, so
because she's seen it
bravo,
all.
Ariana.
She's seen like the birth and death, the rebirth, all of it.
So Linz, how do you feel about Aquarius in general? How do
Yeah.
you feel about that energy, or like do you vibe with Aquarius as like a Leo sun? Because
Yeah.
it's our opposite, our
Aquarius
sister sign.
our sister side, they are so hot to me. They are really hot. If you're an Aquarius, you're so hot. It's like they're hot and I'm afraid of them. I have a few female friends that are Aquariuses that are I would consider very close friends. One of my best friends is an Aquarius. Man, are they interesting, very like intelligently driven and also totally themselves in a way that I think, ew, I don't know. I don't even know. It's hard for me to
That's a
describe.
big
Like,
question I asked of you. Like, how do you feel about Aquarius? No pressure.
they are so themselves in a way that I think they can just learn a lot from each other. I think they can learn a lot from each other. They really go their own path, really do.
Yeah,
And they commit to it. But I always find them to be like, they're rebellious, but they'll never tell you until they'll never say it. It's like they're rebelling in the quietest of ways, and yet they're like doing a lot of work, but it does feel behind the scenes, like, and it's very quiet rebellion almost. And they're still out there doing the work and like resisting the system, but I find that it comes off in more subtle ways.
when you meet people with a strong Aquarius placements, you feel that like rebelliousness, but it might not be like the first thing they say.
They feel really self-guided and they have a goal and it's like, hey, I want to go to grad school, or hey, I want to do this thing, or whatever, I want to start um a music academy, and then they do it. And it's like they're just like quietly working along the path and they like make it happen. And then if they find a block along the way, like an obstacle, it just does seem like they always fight against it. They're just like, no, this is like in my way and I'm gonna freaking tunnel through this. And like they really do fight back. Like an Aquarius, I find are the ones that are like, if their order is wrong, they'll send it back.
This feels very specific. Dude, who were you hanging out with that sent their order back that you felt uncomfortable? Just kidding.
Yeah.
my mom and my sister are both Aquarius.
Oh, you have a lot of experience with Aquarius. What is your take
Well,
on it?
I don't really have any
Not in a
Aquarius friends. So I feel like
but
mine
your
comes
mom and
from
your
a fam
sister, I mean, that's like
mine comes from like a familial lens. Yeah, it's funny. It's like my mom and I are close, and then we also are like very different, you know.
yes.
Same with my sister and I. We're really similar in a lot of ways, and then in certain ways we're very different. I know something with, my sister, hopefully she's fine that I'm talking about this. Actually, knowing her, she's probably not fine, but I'm going to say it for the podcast. My sister doesn't like being in the center of attention. She doesn't like people looking at her. She doesn't
Yeah,
like people
very
perceiving
Aquarian.
her. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with my mom. My mom also has kind of a weird relationship with her emotions. And
Mm,
since Aquarius is an air sign and Leo's fire, I guess this is more because I have water in my chart. But yeah, it's almost like in detachment in a way. Aquarius is able to detach from situations or things in a way that I feel like signs aren't able to as much. So they
yeah.
can take more of an objective kind of look at things versus someone who's, really in the feelings about something. It's easier for air signs, especially Aquarius, to look at things in a more logical, further out view and not get so swept up in like the emotions of something.
Yeah. A lot of people that I know that are Aquarius suns are therapists, which
Oh,
is interesting to me because to me, I think the only way to be a good therapist is to be able to like have that stepping away and like not getting like so taking on other emotions that is a gift in that world, I think, because yeah, these two people I'm thinking of are really good at their jobs, but they have to have a detached sense because it's a lot of, I mean, like, I don't know how many clients a day, but a lot of emotional information coming at you.
yeah, that's such a good point.
So, Abbie, how would you describe an Aquarius?
Well, I would describe an Aquarius as Aquarius is symbolized by the water bearer. The mythology behind it, I'm not going to butcher the story. You can look it up if you want. I'm sorry, that's not my forte right now. But basically, someone poured water down from the gods to humanity. That's the
Amazing.
that's the punchline.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to cut all this. The water bearer symbol is giving back to humanity. It's
Oh,
taking like the gifts from the gods and pouring it down from the sky, giving it to
oh,
humanity. That's the symbol for
wow.
Aquarius. I'm so sorry if I butchered
That's
that, which I definitely
beautiful.
did. But yeah, isn't that beautiful? I learned
Yeah.
about it in class, but
Oh,
haven't
cool.
haven't looked back on that since that day. And so some word keywords to kind of describe Aquarius is the outsider,
Mm,
the weirdo,
yeah, they're
the
weird.
collective versus the self. This is when it's like the opposite with Leo. Aquarius is usually identifies more with a group or is more comfortable identifying with a group or with others versus like themselves, if that makes sense. And Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn,
Oh, wow.
well,
I
in
didn't know that.
yeah, so in traditional astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. It's also associated with Uranus in modern astrology, but modern astrologer is going to be like, it's ruled by Uranus. I
Mm.
disagree. It's traditionally ruled by Saturn.
Oh,
And
interesting.
but it's also, themes associated with Uranus. So you can look at both. Saturn is known as like the cold planet,
Mm.
the dark one. It's associated with time and old age, limitations, maturity, restrictions. Saturn is a toughie. Um, for
Is
me
it what?
personally, a toughie.
A toe. Okay.
I haven't used
I
that
thought you
word
said
in
like I thought you said like they're a tootsie or something. And I was
no,
like,
they're a toughie. I have trouble with Saturn as a Leo. So Saturn for the longest time it was the furthest planet we could see.
oh,
So we're like in traditional astrology, they're like, that's the furthest planet. That's
mm,
so far away from us, but we can still see it. And so it is associated with that death, outsider, what's far away, what's in the
mm,
shadows, what's hidden, the rejected parts of life, or the kind of not so pleasant parts of life. A lot of times, Saturn is like represented by a skeleton or like Grim Reaper kind of vibes. And so, and Saturn's associated with winter. So it rules Capricorn and Aquarius. And so Aquarius being associated with Saturn, I find very interesting, but also makes a lot of sense because Aquarius is kind of that like black sheep archetype, the one who is cast into the shadows and lives on the margins, maybe who feels different from everyone else, or who, yeah, has trouble kind of like embodying their own identity and like stepping in, and maybe they don't want to be part of the inner circle. Maybe they prefer to be on the outside, you know?
Beautifully said. Yeah, the margins.
Margins.
And by living in those margarine those
Margarines.
margins, I think there's a wisdom that comes from that. When you're on an edge of society or an edge of any group, an edge of any community, one foot in, one foot out, not even in a bad way, just like, okay, I'm tapping in, I can see what's going on here. There comes a wisdom through that observing, like through observing from that space that I think Aquarius folks embody or are trying to embody in this life.
Yeah. I have a quote from my teacher, and I don't know if my teacher Mal Hasty got this from somewhere else, but it was
Mhm.
in my notes from our poets astrology school. But
Hmm.
it's Aquarius has a deep desire to bring light to what society wants to keep in the dark
Yes. Yeah,
because they
they
know what it's like on the outside. They can see all the things that society's casting aside or that people are not acknowledging. Like you said, the observer. Whereas if you're inside, if you're in the palace as the king, as the lion ruler, you have
yeah,
no idea what's going on outside.
yeah.
Whereas someone who's more on the outskirts, on the margins,
Yeah.
they know what's up. They have an
I
ability to see that.
Yes, there's a story in my mind of this person that I dated, and they, back in the day when we're all really young and like drinking, like classic millennials, and they they put up like a building, like a new building in like the hometown space of this Aquarius. I guess he and his friends all went out drunk, and one of his friends said that like he took a huge boulder rock and like threw it. Like, because he like hated that they like the rich came in and like built this building over like this like beautiful, rugged, authentic space that was just like rugged but like beautiful, beautiful in its like rundownness. What words am I even
Yeah,
saying? It's just, and he
that's when you realize they were
hated it.
hot.
He hated like the transition into like a more rich person space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that
We,
when you
we
realize they were
might
hot?
we might have to cut this out.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
he was so hot. He was so hot.
Not cutting out Aquariuses are hot.
No, that's we're
I love
keeping.
that. If you know any hot Aquariuses to send Linz's way, her address is
One, two,
um
three, four, hotaquarius.com. Yeah,
we got to
literally.
get you an Aquarius, hot Aquarius PO box to have people send
Yes. Oh my gosh.
their
All
Rex
the
to.
Valentines. All the Valentines.
One more thing I wanted to say about Saturn, and then I want to talk
Okay.
about Elphaba. This is
Yeah.
another quote from my notes from school.
Okay.
I think this might have been Mel. So shout out if it's you, Mel, but if it's from somewhere else, whoops. Saturn has the gift of seeing a situation in its purest reality without delusion and can act accordingly. Elphaba
Wow.
has that gift.
Can you say that one more time? It's a gift of seeing a situation in its pure reality.
Yeah, Saturn has the gift of seeing a situation in the purest reality without delusion and can act accordingly. And that's Elphaba. That's our girl Elfie. She was exiled from the moment that she took her first breath.
Yeah.
Literally, why am I getting emotional? Um,
Yeah. Because it's a tragic story.
it really is like
Yeah.
the her green skin is just like a metaphor for all those
Wow.
people who are misrepresented, oppressed,
Ah,
judged, who are different, who are forced to be silenced, who are on the outside.
hmm.
I don't know
Yeah.
why I'm
The
getting more
outcasts.
emotional than I thought I'd be. But yeah, it's just a really sad story because you know this happens to so many people. And even if they don't have literal green skin, it's just a tragic, like, story that she had no reason to be
Right.
cast
She
out.
didn't do anything wrong. Nothing was her fault.
she has a completely different experience of life from
Mm,
that point of view, from that I don't belong, I'm unwanted
mm,
from the beginning. And she relates more to the animals because, first of all, Dulcibert, so first person that showed her kindness,
yeah,
that cared for
yep,
her when she was a baby and a kid, and she sees like the injustice being done to the animals. And she identifies with that as someone who relates to them. And she's like fighting for them, but it's
mm,
also for herself, whether she realizes that or not. And I think that's a part of the kind of Aquarius archetype is that she's like, oh, we have to take care of this group of people. It's not about me. But at the same time, it is about her a little bit because she has been treated like that her whole life. When Madame Morrible is like, manipulating her when she's in her sorcery seminar, and she's like, oh, you had a really hard day. That must have been really stressful for you in Dr. Dillamond's class. And she's like getting really angry. She's like, no one should be scorned or laughed at or told to stop jabbering on, which is what her dad had said to her. And then her like magic kind of kicks in. Yeah, it's like she relates to that. And that's like the cause she's fighting for. Yes, she's fighting for others. She doesn't want people, well, animals, to experience what she's experienced. She's, never felt accepted.
she knows it deeply because she lived it. She
Yeah,
knows the experience deeply. She knows injustice because she's been affected so deeply that she had to embody that injustice in her own body, in her own skin. And so, of course, she's going to know that on such a deep level because she's experienced it. So, of course, she is the voice for that, which is so brave in itself because you also have to move into a space where you're going to lean in to the resistance, lean into, okay, this is wrong. And I'm also going to do something about it.
yeah, and it's like she's never been accepted by society. So
Yes.
she's like, I'm never going to be accepted. I've never been accepted. I'm just
Yeah.
going to do what I do because it
And
doesn't matter.
it's so interesting too, though, when the animals are going under the road, which is very like Underground Railroad moment. And the animals are going into the physical yellow brick road to leave and flee
In the
the
second
country that
film,
is persecuting them. Yeah, in the second film, Wicked for Good, the animals are going into the yellow brick road. I think she sings right before that, like, "Why am I fighting for this home, for this land, for this country, for this space that has done nothing but betray me, has done nothing but hurt me?" And the animals are kind of like, yeah, we need to leave. And there's just an element of like, I'm going to do everything I can to fight for, to balance, to bring back the balance of the good in this wicked situation, until she realizes, like, at the end of the film, that her safety needs to happen as well. Why is she staying? Why is she fighting the fight when she knows the danger, when she knows the pain, when she knows all of the strife that comes along with the resistance?
because Fiyero,
We have to talk
we'll
about
get to Fiyero. Some quotes that I thought sounded like Aquarius.
fear.
Well, so in The Wizard and I, which so good in the movie. I never cared about that song at all in the play. I was like, well, whatever. And I was like crying every time I watch, like, I won't even talk about it because I'm going to start crying. But I guess I'm talking about it. When she has the vision of the future and like it's just so like the way it's done, it's just so well done and like the way that Cynthia like acts.
Which
And
scene is
as she's
that?
singing The Wizard and I in the first one,
Which,
when
oh,
she's like, I want to meet the wizard, my whole life's
yeah,
gonna change. Like she finally is like sees some meaning in her life of like, oh, something I can do with my powers.
yes.
Well, yeah, it's like the first song that she sings. And it's interesting because it's like I feel like the Aquarius archetype is like I don't need to be accepted. I'm on the outside. But then a
Mhm.
part of them does want to be accepted. Maybe not by the like popular girl kind of place, but they do still, everyone deserves love and acceptance. And we
Mhm.
all search for that in some form. I think this quote, yeah, like during The Wizard and I, she's like, though I'd never show it, I'd be so happy I could melt. And it's
Yeah.
like, why am I getting what is going on with me? I'm getting emotional.
Because it's because you're feeling this is so intense. Yeah.
Ugh.
And it's
Yeah.
the purpose of it. It's like it was so beautiful because it's like, okay, my acceptance will come through purpose. And in a way, her purpose was to be good. Her purpose was to really like show, hey, we can be a better society. We can really improve how we treat each other. Like I want to be accepted because I want everyone to be accepted. And like there just is a purpose. Her purpose came into light.
Yeah, and I thought it was funny because she was like, though I'd never show it, I'd be so happy
Mm,
I could melt. She's like,
yeah.
I don't need to be accepted. I don't want to be accepted, but like the idea of having acceptance really
Is
fills her
empowering.
with light. Yeah, it fills her with, like you said, purpose. She's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, people might accept me in a different way if I'm with the wizard. But
Mm.
we know that by the end of the film, like what she really wants is just love
Oh.
some someone, like, and then when I feel like when she finds Fiyero, like she's like, oh, I'm good to leave Oz. Let's get out of here. You
Yeah,
know? Like,
that's so interesting too.
she's
Yes.
like,
And
let's go, baby.
the vulnerability of their like when he comes back to her nest. What does she call it in the movie? Her hovel?
What does she call it something?
I swear to God, someone used the word hovel.
Another quote I wanted to share
Yeah.
was in the first film before Glinda and Elphaba are friends, and
Mm,
they're in their history class with Dr. Dillman. And Glinda's like, it's not Glinda, it's Galinda with a G.
mhm.
Um, and then Elfie's like, maybe the pronunciation of your precious name is not the sole focus of Dr. Dillman's life. Maybe some
Mm,
of us are just different. And I was like, Aquarius, Leo. Leo's
mm,
like, pronounce my name right, okay? And then
mhm.
Aquarius is like, that doesn't fucking matter. Like,
We're
no one
beyond
fucking
that.
cares. So I thought that was very Aquarius versus Leo. And then the song I'm Not That Girl, I'm like, that's so Aquarius.
Yes, I'm not that girl. Because that girl, the it girl, is the Leo, like the Glinda.
And not to say that Aquarius, if you're an Aquarius, you're not that girl. It's not.
Like you are that girl.
But it's like the
The
way she
Aquarius,
sees it, right? Like the way Elphaba sees it is like, I'm not like other girls. I'm
right.
not like the perfect picture of what romance seems like it should be or what a man would desire.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna hide in the woods and sing my beautiful song, and
Yeah,
but I'm never gonna be the spotlight girl. That just felt
I,
like kind of an Aquarius vibe.
totally. I'm a moonlight girl, but they're still lit up. It's like they're just lit up in a different light.
She is that girl to Fiyero in the end. Well,
And she's
from
that
that
girl.
moment on, he's
Cool.
like, he's
Yeah.
obsessed.
Again, they're hot. Aquariuses are hot. Can't reiterate it enough.
Another like Aquarius Leo moment that I thought was interesting in the second film. So the scene during Fiyero and Glinda's wedding, and it's
Oh,
like glitzy, glamorous, beautiful, and then it cuts to
so,
Elphaba, who's
so
like in what seems like a basement with the darkness and the
uh,
cages and the animals. And it's just a contrast between, look at how great everything is. This is the light. Everything's great. Look how
stage,
much hope. And then there's this thing that's being kept in the dark that people don't know
backstage.
about.
Yeah.
And she's like, has her moment where she's like, I refuse to accept this. That's like that
Mm,
Saturnian vibe of like, this is here in the dark, and I know you don't want to see it, and I know
mm,
you aren't happy about it, and it's going to ruin your precious day, but
mm.
you have to see what's being kept in the cages here.
Red,
Love that
which is
scene.
what's happening, I think, on Earth right now too.
Oh, 100, 110%.
100 million, jajillion, gajillion, bajillion %. Yeah.
Pluto's in Aquarius, and we're just collectively we're just going to keep
Yeah.
fighting till we bring down the horrors. Yeah, the
Yeah.
horrors that we're living through right now.
We're uncovering, which is what she
Yeah.
was doing with the animals. And then when she like turned to the wizard and was like, "Oh, no, 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 no. You are evil." What did she say to him? She was like, "I will
You're a,
never trust you again," pretty much.
you're a very bad man.
Yes.
'Cause I've watched it
Oh
so
my
many
God. And then
times.
she freed them and it was like, ah! Them running
Yeah.
through the wedding was like,
And Fiyera's like, yes, she's here.
yeah, his dream girl. You're right.
So, something else I kind of forgot to mention was like, there's the consequences of her being on the outside and fighting for her cause in a way that's society doesn't like. and she gets exiled completely, almost killed multiple times. So
I think Elphaba's character, the crux of her identity and life path and issues, it's the burden of the truth. I
wow.
think it's like the burden of the truth, the burden of the truth. When you know real truth, how heavy that can be and how heavy that can feel. And then on top of the heaviness of the dark truth, you've got people that are wanting to hurt you because you see the truth, because you hear the truth, because you know the truth, and because you speak the truth. There's also the burden of like the dangerous side of it. Like the okay, I'm like a whistleblower or whatever. Like I'm gonna be attacked, which is like very clear in her story, and just the burden of the truth, knowing the truth comes at a cost, and she fully embodies that cost.
She loses everything because of it. She loses her
Yeah.
dad, who we don't care about, but she
And
loses her
like
sister.
her
Okay.
sister, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about too. The sister. The sister. It's so crazy to me too that even her own sister, who she's done nothing but care for and oblige and lift up, literally, with her magical powers into the air with her magical shoes. It's just like the truth was still so scary to the sister herself. Yeah, the sister. I don't know. What do you think about that dynamic?
I didn't
See,
really write about Nessa because I was like, Scorpio, move on. But
stop. You think she's a Scorpio?
no,
I
I
think
don't
it's so
know.
true.
I thought just like
Or what about a Capricorn?
yeah, I could see her as a Capricorn. This is me just like, I didn't give too much thought to it. The possessiveness of how she is with Bach, I think that's why I
Oh
thought
my God.
Scorpio.
And with Bach, yes.
But we don't really get to see like the good parts of Nessa that much. We're like, oh, she is annoyed by her sister's presence, like is
Mhm.
annoyed that her sister's holding her back, but then like loves her at the same time, but is she's kind of a little bit self-serving too.
Nessa,
Um,
for sure. For
yeah. And
sure.
then like with the box
Turning
stuff.
Bach into her like servant?
Yeah, and then blaming Elphaba,
Bro.
like, yeah,
Betrayal.
is
Betrayal.
sad. But Elphaba loses everything.
But she's been doing, but in a way, like you could say that, I mean, they were raised to be that way. Like Nessa was raised to always listen to the father that loved her and to also exile her sister. Like she's been bred to treat Elphaba in this way, see her own sister as less than her.
Yeah, it's
Ugh.
definitely complicated, and we don't get too much into their
Yeah.
dynamic, but you can kind of sense that it's like there's love there, but there's also like,
Yeah, there's love, but it's tormented a little bit and it's been, I mean, there's talk about PTSD from the freaking father asshole. Yeah,
Linz is feeling it all.
bro.
Yeah, the daddy sucks.
Yeah.
But Fiyero,
Hot.
Fiyero, hot,
What do
gorgeous,
you think
sexy.
Fiero's sign is?
Okay,
I'm curious. I have no idea.
so I went back and forth, and we're talking archetype, like who
We're talking
knows?
patterns.
We're talking the basic archetypes. I'm just talking about like what I see in the film. But for Fear, I chose two. The first one I chose was Libra, the scales, right? And I'll tell you why. Some of it's for fun. He gets a girlfriend the moment he walks into shiz. Well, okay. So Libra is a sign that's about relationships,
I'm
right?
so on your train right now. Everything you're saying, I'm like triple downing in my mind.
Okay, good. So Libra is all about balance, right? The scales, but also the scales of justice. So justice is very important to Libras, and they constantly are kind of like balancing the things in their life because harmony and peace in relationships are like the most kind of important thing to the Libra archetype. Sometimes they'll choose peace above all else, but they do care about doing what's right and what's fair. And
And
they,
they'll do anything for their love.
exactly. And it's interesting because, yes, Fiyero gets a girlfriend the moment he shows up at Chiz. I'm like, Libra.
Because of course. Because of course.
And because have you seen him? I'm laughing because when I showed Well, I'm laughing. But when I showed Dakota, I forced my husband to watch the first Wicked with me last year.
So
And he'd never seen the play. He doesn't know anything about it. And at the end, he's like, I'm confused. And, he explained a couple things and I was like, it'll make sense in the second act. But he's like, and who's this guy? He's like, there's a guy.
classic.
What's the point of him? And I'm like,
He's a
he's
big
hot.
element of the story, and he's hot.
No, he is important in the story. I do adore his character arc, but I just
Sure.
thought it was funny. Dakota's like, "What's the point of this guy?" I'm like, "Well, he becomes a scarecrow, okay, from the Wizard of Oz."
But even before that, he has a point from the beginning. His step into the school, he is the point. Okay, he's Libra. He's don't get it.
He doesn't get it. But Libra thrives in partnership, and they understand themselves through
Mm.
others usually. Like that's kind of a Libra archetype. Like
Wow, I
actually,
didn't know that. Actually, I didn't know that.
yeah, just like because I didn't actually mention this, but the sun in astrology is at
Mm.
home in Leo,
Okay.
and it's in detriment, which is like in its most uncomfortable position in Aquarius, because it's
Mm.
winter, the sun can't shine there. And it's in
Mhm.
fall in Libra, which is when it's like the sun's decreasing in light. It's still not really comfortable in Libra. So Libra and Aquarius are two signs that's hard for the sun to express itself in the full way it wants to. Identity and stepping into your own can be more challenging for someone with like a Libra sun or an Aquarius sun.
Would you say that that's also in like the rising signs, like a Libra rising and a Aquarius rising?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it can just be like associating with the other is a bit easier or comes more naturally
Oh.
to those kind of archetypes. Yeah, it's actually interesting because Jonathan Bailey had said in an interview, Fiyero understands himself and his mission through Elphaba. In the beginning, he's kind of a rebel without a cause, which I will
Yeah.
talk about the other archetype that I think he falls under. But he is like rebellious, but not for really a particular reason that we know why. Like,
Mm.
oh, he got kicked out of school, and I'm like, yeah, sure, you probably just left, like, but through Elphaba, he's like, oh, I can see what's right and what's wrong.
She's his anchor.
He understands himself better through how she sees him.
Wow.
Like his self-discovery journey is through his relationship with Elphaba in the film.
Classic men in general, am I right?
You're not wrong.
Just but especially that's fascinating. I'm so on board for that. I like, yeah, that's a really good insight. That's cool.
And Libras can be indecisive.
The worst
My
trait of any sign, anywhere, any trait ever.
his indecision.
Yes. Just like how I think Aquarians are so hot, I cannot handle the indecision aspect of a Libra. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I have trouble with that, and I don't know. It's just
It's a
so
Lynn's red flag. Lynn's red flag is indecision. It's funny, my brother's a double Libra.
Can you explain double?
Oh, it's his sun and moon are in Libra.
Okay,
But like if you were like triple, then you'd have your big three sun moon rising. It's just, we just
got
say
it.
stuff. You could say I'm a double Leo because I'm a Leo sun and rising. Or you could
Right.
say it's one who is the same, like a Libra sun and moon is a double Libra. You can just, we're just
Like,
having fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm learning the lingo. It's the lingo.
Yeah, I guess I should have explained that. Yeah, my brother's a Libra sun and moon, so he embodies a lot of the Libra-ness.
Mhm.
And Libras have like a natural charm. Like you just can't really be mad at my brother. It's like extremely frustrating. Like he'll do things that I'm like, that was kind of inconsiderate, but I can't be mad at him.
My dad,
He's the youngest child
Libra
boy.
rising. Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's that charm. It's just like the charm.
They have a charm about them,
Yeah.
and an ease about them. But it's funny because my brother's girlfriend, they've been together for like 7 years or something, maybe it might be eight,
Mhm.
but she's a Taurus and she's like, it's so hard to get your brother to make a decision. But like about small things, they can be indecisive. Can be a trait about them. And I think this does play into Fiyero. Fiyero is indecisive in the second film.
He's
He's
indecisive the whole time. Does he want Glinda? Does he want Elphaba? Does he want to rebel? Does he want to follow suit? He's all shifty all over the place. Charming as hell, but those hips don't lie. He's a Libra.
That ass. Well, it's funny because like he just so like go it's the second film, he's just like going along with it, but you know that he's fighting it. You can see his jaw
And he's
acting.
also a Libra with, yes, and like back to what you said of Libras really care about justice. So he's like, he for sure is like, I feel like the military is like for him because he's just like, okay, I'm gonna like fight back somehow.
Yeah, and he's like getting this like you can tell that he's like really upset with how people are talking
Mm,
about Elphaba.
yeah.
Like he knows it's not right, but he
And
doesn't know how to act quite yet. He doesn't know exactly what to do other than kind of follow along until the choice presents itself to him. He doesn't just run off right away to go find
yeah.
her.
Aren't they Venus ruled?
Yes.
So would you say like because of the Venus ruling and the harmony, like there's such a huge pull towards harmonious society that of course he would go along with the harmony because they're all about like harmony.
Yeah, it's like they want the kind of like that ease, that peace, that
Yeah.
yeah, that harmonious Venusian energy.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it, the Libra cares about justice, so it's irking him, it's getting to him. You can see
Yeah.
his TMJ acting up. Jonathan Bailey loves the jaw acting. His jaw does so much work in the second film. Watch it again or watch
I
clips.
will
He's
have
like
to.
his masseter muscles popping out,
That's
and you
really
can just
cool.
see him jaw acting real hard. I can't even put it down that
Wow.
hard.
We need to copyright that phrase.
Jaw acting.
Yeah. I like that's so perfectly said.
You heard it here for first, folks.
You heard it
Jaw
here.
acting.
That's
Same
so
in Bridgerton too. But maybe it's like a
yeah.
man thing. I don't know. It's like he's like keeping it together on a surface level, but you can tell he's not happy. He's struggling with
Mhm.
this decision. He does act on the decision because it's what's right to do, and it's because he loves her. Like he knows what's right through his love for
Yeah.
Elphaba.
Yeah.
Whereas before he was maybe a little more complacent, but he does care about the same things as her, but it's more because she cares about them,
Hmm.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
But it takes him a while to go with her, A, because he hasn't seen her in a year. It just kind of feels a little Libran to me. But
Yeah.
he does make the right choice in the end. Another keyword for Libra is they rebalance society.
Oh wow.
And I feel like he does do that. I mean, he
Wow.
sacrifices himself in the end
Mm-hmm.
for her because it's what's right and because he loves her. It's like both the justice and the love.
It's a win-win.
It's a
The end.
win-win, except he becomes a scarecrow.
Oh
Does his
yeah,
penis work
that is a loss.
after that? We'll cut this.
Probably.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, it
Straw, that
better.
feels sturdy. That feels sturdy enough.
Does it hurt? Does straw penetration hurt?
He
We're
can
gonna cut all
probably do
this.
more. He can probably do more than what he could before.
Can a straw man impregnate a regular woman? These are the questions I
No.
have.
That's a no. That's
While we're on the subject of Fiyero, I'm going to bring up the other archetype that I was kind of trying to figure out which one I felt more
oh no.
strongly. I also feel like Aquarius and Libra go really well together. So I wanted to say that. They're good. That's a trine. Uh, they have the
Okay.
same element.
Oh,
So
that's right, because they're both
air
air
signs.
signs.
But Fiyero, I can see Sagittarius.
Okay, tell us why.
He's always on a horse. That's that's not the whole reason.
You're the fire horse. He's on a horse. He's a Sagittarius.
Horse,
Okay.
Sagittarius. No, there's more. It's more the beginning of the film. Maybe he's like Sag rising or something like Sagittarius is represented by the centaur,
Centaur.
and they're ruled by Jupiter. So there's very much that like
Mm,
expansive energy to them. They're in a quest for the truth. They're like the teacher, camp counselor, but also kind of like priest archetype. Also like the clown kind of falls in there too. But some key words for Sagittarius are like optimism, freedom,
mm,
truth. They can be carefree and have like a continuous like search for meaning in life. And in the beginning of the film with Dancing Through Life, it's just so like He doesn't take life seriously. I'm just here to have fun. I just want adventure. Like, I've gone to so many different schools. I'm on my horse. I'm
Mm.
going from place to place. I don't want to settle down, like, yeah, he's searching for something that he doesn't really know what it is. It can be kind of maybe like a chronic wandering vibe. Also, I feel like Sagittarius can be quite rebellious. So I feel like that kind of rebellious, but he doesn't really know why. Just because.
Totally rebel without a cause.
And then the line of like, nothing matters. It's just life. Just keep dancing through. I'm like, why does
Oh,
that feel so like Sagittarius, like Jupiterian, like
for sure.
we're just having fun. And also, what I thought was funny, this might come across as mean, but there's an astrological reason. Mercury, which is like the planet of like communication, the mind, the intellect, is at home in Gemini and it's in detriment in Sagittarius because that's the opposite. And he's made fun of for being brainless. Like,
Oh, wait, we forgot about the scarecrow moment. Wait,
where
yes.
the whole time the film, life's less painless for the brainless. Like they really, really try to dig it in there that he's like
Yeah, he's
dumb,
brainless. He's jawful, but he's brainless.
but he's not dumb, and we know that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just funny, like that they obviously it's because of the Wizard of Oz, the whole if I only had a brain stuff.
Right,
That's why they're
right.
like drilling it in so hard. But I just thought it was kind of Sagittarius versus
Oh.
Gemini of like
Gemini is the brain.
Gemini, yeah, is more like Mercury. Gemini's ruled by Mercury, so it's like information, intellect,
Yeah.
and he's like throwing books
Mm.
around. He's like, why are we reading? Trouble with schools is they always try to teach the wrong lesson. That sounds
Mm.
like Sagittarius to me, of like, hey, maybe you
Yes,
should learn through experience, or maybe you should learn
yes,
through going on a trip. Like, why are you reading a
yeah.
book when you can go out and experience?
He's for
Um,
sure a Sag rising. For sure. Libra sun,
yeah.
Sag rising.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of fun. And to clarify, it's just the fact that Mercury can't do what it wants to do in the way it wants to do it when it's in Sagittarius. So
Because they
him always
learn
being
it a
like,
different way. It's like, I don't need this book to learn. I'm gonna get on my freaking horse, like you said, and I'm gonna see the world, and that's how I'm gonna learn.
booyah.
Booyah.
Booyah. No, cut that out. Wisdom.
Booyah.
Sagittarius is very wise too, from
But
again,
in a different
experience.
way, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
They're
wisdom.
not book smart.
No, but just like Jupiter's more like wisdom versus like
Mm.
knowledge. And
Mhm.
in as long as your mind is like, maybe I'm brainless, maybe I'm wise, but you've got me
Yeah.
seeing through different eyes. Love you. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he has a wisdom about him. It's mostly like the beginning of the film that I see that kind of like
Yeah.
a bit more of that Sag energy.
And isn't it interesting just to come back to our polar opposites? That you said he's brainless, but he's actually smart. And it's like so if we look at all three of the scarecrow, the tin man, the lion, it's ironic that it's like the scarecrow doesn't have a brain, but the theme of intelligence is there. Like the tin man doesn't have a heart, but it's because he had such a heart that like his heart had to get broken and then removed because the heart was like so powerfully speaking. Like the heart was powerfully speaking that they had to remove the heart. The brain, the scarecrow was so smart because he saw the system was flawed that they had to remove his brain. The lion, well, they did not do the best job, I would argue, with the lion.
The
And
lion was so brave that I don't know.
the lion lost the plot, to be honest, in this version of it.
The
I
lion,
really think there was a storyline that could have gone differently. But like the concept is like in the opposites, both remain true. Or like, am I making sense?
yes, you are making sense.
Like it's like that
Absolutely are.
access that we talked in the beginning. It's like the theme is there, and you
They
have both the extremes in the theme.
Yes, extremes. That's definitely a thing with opposites. That opposition is like the extremes of each end of the
Yes,
spectrum. That's such a good point. He had
that's
such a
it.
big heart, and so it got taken out. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
thought you said that beautifully.
yeah,
I also
yeah.
want to mention casually that I feel like Fiyero's a water Venus. Venus is like how we like relate
I
to
love
people
the
and how
deep
we
dive
love.
into Fiyero more than
Shut your mouth.
you're out here telling me Aquarians are hot, la la la. And we have a full chart for Fiyero at this point.
You
Go
saw right
on.
through me. Glinda gets one archetype, Elphaba gets two, Fiyero gets three.
Yeah, we have
That's
like
my
mapped out
ranking.
we have like his human design too.
I just wanted to say that he yearns for a full year over a girl. I'm like, come on, water Venus. You know, water signs can yearn.
God, I love a yearn. Like
Glinda's like, he's distant and moodified. I'm like, Cancer.
moodified. Oh my fucking God, stop.
Cancers be moodified.
I think it's like and the water Venus. Would you say he has a water Mars? No, 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 because he takes
I don't
action.
know. It could.
I don't think
I
he has.
thought about Scorpio Mars too. But again, this is me creating a chart for a fictional character
Let's
because
go.
I think he's hot.
We have free will because we have free will, and
We have
we'll
free
chart up a
will.
hot man any day.
Thank
We'll
God we have
chart
free
him
will,
hot.
or else where we wouldn't have this podcast.
Yeah.
I do have an important thing I wanted to say about
Okay.
Alphabub
Go
because I
on.
care about that because that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
started this whole thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, the last archetype that I want to talk about
Okay.
is Elphaba and Aries. Aries, first sign of the zodiac,
Yeah.
symbol the ram. Some keywords: war, conflict, impulse, motivation,
Fire.
drive, independence,
Mm,
fire, action.
yeah.
Dude, she acts on impulse.
For
Like,
sure. That's what like Glinda's telling her, like, you're flying off the handle or what that song, like for sure. For sure. And that's the give and take that they both don't have in the beginning. Because she is not giving and taking. Like she's that, yeah.
yeah, and like that's where her magic comes from. Like she says when she was explaining her powers to Madame Morrible in
Mm,
the beginning in the first film, she's like, something takes over me and I
yeah.
can't control it, and bad things always happen. And I'm like, that feels like that Aries kind of like impulse of like,
One
I'm just
million.
gonna I just have to do this. Like,
Aries moon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she really like she steps into her independence real hard. Yes, she has that logical part of her brain is like, I need to do this because this is what's right. But then she's like so fired up
Mm,
in at the end of the first film with Defying Gravity. And
mm,
she's like, fuck this. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna go. I don't care what the consequences are. She keeps saying, like, and if I'm flying solo, I'm at least I'm flying free. No one's ever
Yeah.
going to bring me down. Like Aries is very much about also about the self, about like this is who I am.
1,000,000%.
Um yeah, the sun is exalted in Aries, so the sun like rejoices in Aries. So sometimes you get a little bit too much of the that kind of
Mhm.
self, very headstrong, kind of fiery energy. And I just feel like she has that like Aries impulse for sure. Like she does act without thinking sometimes because she gets so angry about things. And I feel like that differs from Fiyero, who, if we're going to say he's a Libra, Libra and Aries are opposites.
Mhm.
He's like,
Mhm.
oh, let me think about,
Let me smooth it over.
let me
Let's
find the right
smooth
time.
before we choose.
Yes, smooth before choose. And he's just kind of like waiting around for the right moment. And she's like, no, I have to do something right now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
shit's too far gone. I gotta do something right now. You can really see that independence. Like, she lives alone, like the whole in the forest, the whole
Oh, I
second
kind of
film.
see an Aries.
It can be
Do
both.
we think it's a combo? And if so, how would you combinate? You know how they like say moodified and they make all their funny words?
How would you combinamify it?
Combinate, combinatify that.
I don't know. I hadn't really thought too much about like the placement of like,
Okay.
oh, moon versus sun. We can think about that. I could see that Aries moon, the moon represents our body, and like
Hmm.
a lot of times, yeah, our like reactions are like life, how we're living our day-to-day life. Her anger, her like action and drive, it does like, move that Aquarian ideal. It pushes it forward
Yeah.
because she has those like instincts. And I think that's like a powerful thing of being able to act on impulse or act on desires as they come up instead of like
Yeah.
overthinking. So I
Right.
think that does really push her towards that Wicked Witch of the West
For sure.
ending. There is that quote in the second film with the moment where she, after the wedding, when she releases about to release the animals, and she says, "You're a
Yeah.
very bad man." And
Very bad. Yeah.
this powerful moment that I was like, this is so Aries. She's like, you once asked me what my heart's desire was, and I know
Yes.
now what that is. And that is to fight you until the day I die.
Aries.
Run. Um,
Aries.
yeah, I was
Aries.
like, Aries, they be fighting. They be
Wow.
fighting.
Aries, yeah. I think you nailed it.
Thank you. That's all she wrote, me. That's all I have. I want to hear your arguments, like people watching.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Like, you know, this is what I'm seeing, like that power of opposites. Everyone sees that just literally in how they present the film and
In
the play.
every single direction.
Every
Yeah.
single direction.
Visually, with sound, with music, the lyrics, the written script, the actions, the oof,
Loathing,
symbolism,
unadulterated loathing.
the harmonies in itself, in the songs, the opposites, in the literal harmonies, in the music notes of their characters. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. Brilliant. The whole thing.
I'm curious, maybe some people will see this as totally different archetypes. So it's not to say there, I know I mostly focus on air and fire. There's nuance to life, but these are the things that I felt the strongest when I was watching Wicked. And yeah,
Mm,
it's like, what do you do with opposites? You come together, you compromise, you try to find
integrate.
like, yeah, and like with opposites in your chart, maybe you're born in a full moon and your sun is in Aquarius and your moon's in Leo. How do
Mhm.
you acknowledge those two parts of yourself? How do you not shut something out? And how do you give space to both of those sides? I think with opposites, it's like we need both. Just how do
Yeah.
we get them to talk to each other
Yeah.
and to how do we take
Function.
both things? And
Right.
sadly in Wicked, we are like, okay, we have to say bye to Elphaba, but
Yeah.
her ideals make it
Live
through.
on.
She wins not without loss, but she wins in the end. Her things do come true, but as a result,
Hmm.
she's exiled forever. But she's probably happy in some way because she's got her man.
I just think, yeah, and there's no, I think that's such a harsh truth of the movie is the last scene before the water scene, before she gets the water
Oh, yeah, yeah.
on her. And Elphaba and Glinda are singing and talking in the castle, and that's where she says, I need to be wicked for you to be good. Going back to the burden of truth, part of also her own truth that she didn't want to see in the beginning was when she was like fighting the good fight and fighting for her home, was that the reality was that there was nothing left for her there anymore, which is what the animals were ironically like trying to tell her, and love that the animals got welcomed back into Oz and they are rebuilding. But it was kind of like how everything was set up, like there was nothing left for her. Like it was just torture for her to continue to be there. Like she had to free herself out
Mhm.
of that society at that time. Who's to say? 30 years, they rebuild. Glinda's the queen. It's a great society. She can be welcomed back home. But like the sad reality was that there's nothing left. I guess, like, in one sentence, there was additional loss because the fight that she was fighting, she knew she had to remove herself from because she could not sustain or survive in that environment. And she was happier on the other side, but she had to go through to the other side to reach that happiness. And that was like another lesson that she had to experience.
Yeah. And maybe she finds belonging not only just with her partnership, she finds
Yeah,
that love and belonging there. Maybe she's like,
right.
I don't need acceptance from the outside. But maybe in her new life away from Oz, she does
Yeah.
find, we don't know, we can only imagine.
Yeah.
But, she maybe does find more of an acceptance, and doesn't
Mhm.
have to be on the margins of society like she is in
Yeah,
the
and on the
films.
run, on the run,
On
on
the
the
run. But yeah, tell us what you think
yeah.
if you're like, no way, she's a Taurus, I want to hear it. Bring it on. Give me your thoughts. I'm curious what the people have to say.
Right.
Let us know. But yeah, this was fun. Thank you for joining me and letting me talk about this thing that's been in my head for a while. And I love talking about astrology and characters.
Yes.
I
I'm
love talking
having
about them with you.
literally, it's so fun for me.
Who can say if we've been changed for the better?
Oh, but
But
we've been changed.
because I knew you, I'm not a good singer.
Oh,
I have been
like
changed for
changed
good.
for good.
Change opposites,
Wow.
they change each other by acknowledging
Transformation.
each other.
Obsessed. Okay.
Well,
Good
thank
talk,
you
Kat.
for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.